Actually, you know whose play I'm going to remember from that Super Bowl? Patrick Mahomes. Not that he was perfect, but I thought he was the most spectacular player on the field. He did things that were just unbelievable. He was pressured more than any quarterback ever in the Super Bowl, like as a percentage of his dropbacks. And by the way, was blitzed less than any. So he was constantly on the run for his life, and no one was ever open, right? I mean, and he was facing a guy where it was just the opposite, almost never pressured, and guys were open as a result. The point is, he lost, but not because of his play. And in fact, his is the play I'm going to remember. That's 3 years. 3 years, 2 Super Bowl appearances, a Super Bowl championship, 3 AFC title games, and I think only a little bad luck keeps him from being 3 for 3. I don't think there's any other player in the NFL where at the beginning of every season, we look at the team and go, we like them as at least the odds-on favorites, if not the favorites against the entire field, the straight-up favorites. I've never experienced that as a football fan until Patrick Mahomes. I think on the field of play, he is the most important person in American team sports.
I think that's utterly ridiculous. I think that LeBron James clearly is that guy. 18th season, 36 years of age, and without him, the Lakers would be the New Orleans Pelicans with Anthony Davis. They'd make the first round of the playoffs, they'd go home. If that. That's who he is. That's who he has been throughout his career. And when you take into account the fact that he's done it for so long, I just don't think it even compares. Patrick Mahomes is sensational, and he's a sensational talent. And it wasn't his fault they lost the Super Bowl. I totally get that. But he's not LeBron James in terms of his importance to a team. I don't think it compares. I really, really don't. The Lakers are nothing without him. I look at Tyreek Hill. I look at Travis Kelce. I look at Sammy Watkins. I look at McCole Hardman. I look at Damian Williams and those boys. I think the Chiefs could potentially make the playoffs without Patrick Mahomes. They wouldn't win anything, but I think they could potentially make the playoffs without Patrick Mahomes. I don't think that's the case with LeBron James. Wherever he goes, you're a championship contender. Whenever he departs, you fall by the wayside. And I think when you take that into account and you look at the fact that he's done it over a sustained period of time, the fact that we're even asking this question, in my estimation, is utterly ridiculous. Right now, in his 18th season, at age 36, he's averaging 25.5 points, about 8 rebounds, about 7.8 assists. He's shooting 50% from the field, 35% from three-point range. The Lakers are 24-11, having won their last 2 after losing 4 straight, primarily due to the absence of Anthony Davis and Dennis Schroeder. I just look at them right now, and I'm like, what's there to talk about? LeBron James clearly is that guy in terms of being the most important player, the most important person in sports. And that's just taken into account on the court of field of play. Off the field of play, it ain't even a discussion.
Well, we're talking about, at least I am, on the field of play. And let me tell you what I find utterly ridiculous, Stephen A. Smith.
Sure.
The fact that in one breath you say, what would they be without LeBron James, the Pelicans? They get to the playoffs and knocked out in the first round, right? Then you said the same thing about Kansas City. In fact, we know what they were with Alex Smith, who was a solid quarterback then, but not great. What were they? They were a team, maybe you could make the playoffs, they're going to get knocked out early. Just like what the Lakers would be if you took LeBron off. I mean, you have to put someone in his place, just like you have Alex Smith in Patrick Mahomes' place. You put an average player in LeBron's place. Maybe they make the playoffs and they get knocked out early. What's the difference? You know what the difference is? You know why Mahomes gets the edge? Because he's playing football. Because in the NBA, a singular superstar has more sway over the fortunes of a team than any player, including the quarterback in football, until Patrick Mahomes came along. Patrick Mahomes has the kind of influence on success as though he is LeBron James or some superstar in the NBA. And I also love how when this topic comes up, you turn it into a Lifetime Achievement Award. I'm not talking about who I'm more impressed by at their age, who's accomplished more in their career, who has total career value. I'm talking about right now. Who's the most important player on the field of play? I'm not going to pretend it's in a landslide. LeBron has an enormous impact, and there are other players, too, in the NBA who have an enormous impact, including James Harden right now, or Joel Embiid, or a number of NBA players. I don't think there's anyone in the NFL, including Aaron Rodgers, who has the impact that Patrick Mahomes does.
I don't mean to sound like Dave Chappelle when he's imitating Prince, but this bores me. I'm not interested in this discussion.
You're going to make me pancakes now?
I don't agree with you. Yeah, exactly. The pancakes and all of that other stuff. Or, game, blouses, and all of that stuff. When Dave Chappelle was imitating, it was hilarious. But in the end, in all seriousness, I just don't agree with you. I think it's LeBron James. I think it's LeBron James literally by a significant margin. We disagree, and that's that. But this doesn't really interest me. This bores me.
I just want to know how many espressos Max has had today. All right,
a bunch.
When we come back here,
formerly
fellas,
known as Stephen A. Smith.
I can tell you're all fired up, but it's good TV. We're talking big man. Is Joel Embiid a more skilled big man than Shaq? Mel Kiper has Mac Jones going to the Panthers with the 8th pick in his latest mock draft, but it was a similarity to another quarterback expressed to ESPN's Mike Reese that made a little news. Take a listen.
And I hate to say it, Mike, he's got a little bit of Brady in him.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's ever going to be Tom Brady. He won't be close, probably. But, you never know. But he's got that competitiveness. He kind of does everything with a smile. And, Brady didn't smile probably as much as he does. But, I mean, he's one of those guys. He's so smart. He picked that offense up in Mobile like it was nothing. And when other quarterbacks were struggling with the verbiage, communicating that in the huddle, he was, boom, in and out of the huddle quicker than anybody I've ever seen.
On a Yahoo podcast, Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa said this about his former backup at Alabama. I would say he's a sly kind of athletic person. He's a more mobile Tom Brady. He's very athletic, very smart too. Whatever team gets him is going to be very lucky. On that note, we bring in Mel Kiper Jr. Mel, great to have you with us. I will get to you in just a moment. Sure. Looking forward to this discussion. So, obviously, we said some similarities with Tom Brady. We know the Pats don't have a quarterback. Stephen A., do you think Bill Belichick should prioritize a quarterback and trade up and get Mac Jones?
Hell yeah. Absolutely. I mean, what are you going to do? Rely on Jarrett Stidham? I ain't going to cut it. Rely on Cam Newton? I ain't going to cut it. You need a quarterback in New England. There ain't no question about it. And